Hi, it's Chris. In this video we're going to show you how to remove and reinstall the shock absorbers on your LG front load washer. Now, removing and replacing the shocks on your LG washer is a fairly easy repair. It only requires a few basic tools. Keep in mind, if your machine needs to be repaired, it's usually simple enough to do it yourself. Visit PartSelect.com, enter your model number, and quickly find and order the part you need. Some of the reasons to be looking at removing and reinstalling the shocks on your LG washer is over time, through normal wear and tear of the machine, those shocks are going to wear out. And those shocks are there to help support the tub and provide some shock absorbance as the machine's operating. So over time, when that starts to weaken, your machine will vibrate and you'll need to repair them. So the first thing we want to do, of course, in order to protect ourselves is unplug the machine so there's no power going to it. We're also going to want to turn off the water supply valves so there's no water flowing through the hoses, because we're going to need to take those hoses off the valve itself. So the first thing we want to do is remove the top, and to do that we need to remove the screws that are holding these brackets. Now, in this machine, looks like they've been replaced. These are 5/16. On most machines you'll find for the LG it'll just be another Phillips screw, but whichever type you have, that's the hand tool you're going to require. Now, with those screws removed, it's really easy to remove the top. We're simply going to take a hold of the sides of the top and wiggle it back. And then we can just lift it right off the machine and set it to one side. So now we're going to have to turn the machine around in order to strip out the front pieces, but there is one screw that's easy to show you right now that has to come out for the console. So we're going to do that. And it just simply is one little Phillips screw that secures the console to the front frame. That allows that to be free. So we removed the screw that was in this corner. Now we need to remove a couple more screws that are tucked away inside here. So we're going to remove our dispenser drawer. So just pull it straight out, push down in this area where the tab is, and that allows you to release the drawer assembly and get it out of the way. Now, with the drawer out, we just need to remove the two screws that are here that hold the console to the dispenser box. And these are just Phillips screws, but just take note of the length of them. So you remember that these two long screws, which are the only two really long screws, are used for this location here as they screw into the console and then right through into your dispenser box. So now that I'm going to be removing the console, you do need to release these wires so the console can be removed from the machine itself. So all you really want to do is just free the wires from those retainers. So there's three individual harnesses. They're all different, so there's no concern as far as when you unplug them, when you go to put it back together, knowing which one goes where. So all we need to do is just push down on that tab and separate them. That's one, and the other, and last but not least, the blue one. So now all we need to do is just grab the console at the top, lift upwards, and tip it forward. Lift it up, tip it forward, and just help guide those wiring harnesses out of the hole. Now we can set that to one side. So the next thing we want to do is to open the door to where our pump cleanout is, and actually you can just remove the door by wiggling and pulling it out. With that done, there's two screws that we need to remove. One here and one up here that's tucked in behind this little hose. So we're just going to pull that hose down so it's out of our way. And we'll take our two screws out. And this does two things. One, it allows us to remove this plastic box. Just push that hose through the box so we're clear. So now that we have those two screws out, this box frame in the front and this released, the next thing we want to do is open up our door, and we want to remove the spring that holds this gasket in place so that when we pull the front off, it will remain on with the tub. So to remove the wire retainer for the gasket, you just need a small blade screwdriver to remove it. Now typically you'll find the joining spring of the wire at the bottom or over here by the hinge, but wherever it's located, all you really need to do now is take your blade screwdriver, put it into the loop, just pull down and pull away from the machine. And now just work the wire all the way around, and the further around you get, the easier it is until it releases, and you can just take it away and set it to one side. So now we'll take these two screws out. The door latch mechanism with the door switch in it will fall down out of place, which is okay. There's a wiring harness that holds it all together. So you don't need to do anything different other than take these screws out. So there, everything is free now to be able to remove the front. So now that we have everything else out of the way, we just need to remove the 4 screws that are actually holding the front onto the machine. Now before I take the last screw out, I usually just bring myself in against the whole panel, because when that last screw comes out, the weight of the whole front is going to come forward, so it doesn't get away from you. Just place your body against it and we'll be all set. So with the screws removed, we're all set now just to remove the whole front assembly. Pull the door forward and lift it off the frame and get it out of the way. So as you can see in looking at the machine, this machine's shocks are right here and on the side. Now front load machines can have 2 shocks, 3 shocks, and some even have 4. On this machine it has 3. One on this side, one on that side, and one in the back. So now that you can see how to access the front shocks, I'm just going to turn the machine around, take the back panel off so you can see how to access and replace the rear one. In order to access the rear shock, we just need to take this back access plate off. And I've already taken 2 screws out, but there's 4 that hold it. They're just Phillips screws. And then it's just a matter of sliding the tabs, lifting it upward, pulling it out at the bottom, and pulling straight down. Now there's our rear shock. Like I said, on some machines they have 4 shocks from the sides. This one has 1 on either side, 1 in the back. So this is actually pretty easy to change. You'll see that there's a pin, a plastic pin, that goes right through and into the shock itself. And it's the same pin that's on the bottom. So to release the pin, this tab needs to be pushed in a little bit in order for the whole pin to push through. So the easiest way to do that is using a socket. And this is a 14mm or a 1/2" socket will typically do it. And you just go to push that on there. That'll collapse the pin and you can push that right through. So you just push that through, and now you can wiggle that pin out. So you'll notice when you take it out and hold it in your hand, you can tell there's a lubricant on here. It's a grease. Vaseline works well, but you'll want to make sure that you re-grease it when you put it back in. So now we can just compress our shock a little bit, and it's free. So now we just want to do the same thing with the top pin. So there's our top pin, and there's that little locking tab I was talking about on the other one, where you just need to push that in. So we're going to put our pliers on the end of it, and you can see I have control. Now I'm just going to pull the back, press this in while I do it. There's not enough room to get the socket on like we did down below, but the socket works great for when you're doing the shocks on either side as well. So now that I've gotten the pin to the point that the locking tab is pressed down and secured inside, I can just wiggle this pin right out of position. And there we go. So now it's just a matter of pulling downward to pull the shock out of position and take it out of the machine. So as you can see, there was a few steps involved in order to get to this point, but it really isn't that bad when you just take your time. And reinstallation is just the exact same process, but in the reverse. So now just compress your shock, slip it into position, and now you'll want to take your pin, and if the pin is dry, just put a thin film of Vaseline on the pin itself. And that does two things. One, it makes it easier to insert, and two, it provides lubrication while the machine is running, and it helps extend the life of your shock. And now just push it into place all the way through. There you go. And we do the same thing on the bottom. So now we're just going to swing our shock into position, extend it so it goes down into the bracket. Once you feel you have it in position, you're now just going to slide the pin in. Like I say, with that little bit of lubrication that's on there, they go in pretty easy. And now that's secured. So now with our part installed, it's just a matter of doing the process we just did in reverse and just put it back together. So now we just put our back panel on. Okay, so next thing we want to do is put our front panel back into position, and you'll notice on the frame we've got 3 tabs, and they go into slots down in the bottom of the front panel. Put it into place and swing it up into position. So next thing we want to do now that we have the front panel up into position is put the screws in that hold it. And I usually just put them into place, but I don't snug them tight until I get all of them in, just in case you have to adjust the panel a little bit. And the last one. So now what we want to do is bring in our insert for that cover. So we want to take that drain hose and just slip that into place. Tuck that up into position. And now we just take our screws put the cover back in, close it up. We put our console in. The first thing we're going to do is take this wiring harness and put it through that opening. Set it down into place, snap her into position, and we'll do up those wires. And these connectors. One is color coded, so there's no mistaking what goes where. This is a bigger connector, so they go together, and then the smaller one clicks together as well. And we just want to take the wiring harness and secure it into these little retaining clips. Same thing on the other side. 2 screws here in the front. And those screws are going right into the dispenser. So you'll see your dispenser pulling in a little bit. There we go. Now just that one screw that went in from behind. Snug it up. And now we just need to put our dispenser drawer in and put the top back on. Set it down on the machine so it's back about that far, and then just slide it forward. And then we'll just have to put those 2 screws in the back. Beautiful. Now that that's done, we'll probably secure that door gasket into place. Now before we put the ring on, we're going to want to find our door latch mechanism. Turn it around, move your switch up into place. Keep your hand on it to hold it. And now we just want to put our 2 screws back in. So I'm just going to put the bottom screw in first. Get it started. Bring the second screw up, start it into place. And snug up the 2 screws. Now these screws are going into plastic, so it's not like you have to tighten these screws to the nth degree. Bring them in so they're snug, and then a little extra pressure to secure it. So there, the switch is in place, the wires are connected, and it's secured to the front. So now we just need to put our door gasket back into its proper place. So just to take a look to see how easy it is, we've got a lip right here, and all we're looking to do is to take this lip of the gasket, pull it up, and have it drop down into the back. So the easiest way is to find where it's still attached, and then just continue to work it around with your fingers, just to pull that lip over and down into the groove. It goes really quite easily. Now just run your fingers all the way around to make sure that that seal is down into the groove like it should be all the way around. Fantastic. So now all we need to do is to reinstall the wire with the spring that holds it into place. And this is probably the trickiest part of the job, but it's not too bad. So again, you have a spring that connects the 2 ends. Sometimes these will come apart from one another while you've got it loose, but just hook them back on and that's fine. And myself, I prefer to put the spring down at the bottom. Some people put it over here. I just like to have it when I start, have the spring go to end up down here. Now LG does make a special tool for installing and releasing. They have 2 tools, one for removing the spring, one for installing it. And it's great if you have them, but it's a fair bit of extra money to purchase them just for the sake of doing this. So in most cases, it's just simply a matter of having a blade screwdriver, work your wire into the gasket. Now you're going to get so far and then you're going to start to feel the tension of the spring making it difficult. So you just need again to insert your small screwdriver into the spring, extend the spring, and fit the wire into the groove. And there you go. Now we can close our door. So there you go. It's just that easy to remove and reinstall the shocks on your LG front load washer.